what we do is, if we think that the market is stretched in terms of valuations, we don't want to have 65% gross equity. So if I think market is too overvalued or market is too volatile, I don't want to have 60-65%. Debt, commodity together 10 to 55%, but commodity maximum I can go to is 30%. We don't use it to reduce our equity. It basically gives us a signal that look, when you are in a recovery cycle, that around COVID time, corporate profit to GDP had almost reached 3.5. So the return which even this model generated compared to a multi-asset was a tad bit better. You add hedging to that, it will be able to generate a little bit better than current fund. I'll just quickly run through, what do you mean by SIF first, right? It's a specialized investment fund. So it falls under the umbrella of a mutual fund only. It is just a bridge between a mutual fund or a PMS AIF product. Now, why I say it falls under the category of mutual fund, because you do somewhat similar to how you build a mutual fund. It's just that the flexibility which it gives us in the case of, let's say, deploying several hedging strategies and across the number of stocks. So for example, in what sort of hedging strategies? Like arbitrage, you must have heard, arbitrage karte hai, right? Then covered call strategies, etc. But over here, in case of mutual fund also we do it, but in case of mutual fund, we are only restricted to the stocks which we have in our portfolio, right? Us pe aap covered call kar lo, ARB kar lo, you can do that, right? But in this case, we can also do it in a naked sort of a way, right? Naked hedging kar sakte ho. By naked hedging, I don't mean creating a short or anything. Short is also allowed, but what I mean is, in case of a mutual fund, you're only restricted to the Nifty 50 stocks. In this case, you can do it, SEBI has basically given us the permission to do it across all the FNO stocks. So around there are 209 to 210 FNO stocks. We can do it across all those names, several hedging strategy. Now in case of PMS AIF, the ticket sizes are different. In case of PMS, the ticket size is 50 lakh. In case of AIF, the ticket size is 1 crore. Right here, it is 10 lakh. 10 lakh is the entry size, and that 10 lakh can get split into 10 lakh, one PAN, one mutual fund. So that 10 lakh can get split across all the several schemes, SIF schemes, which the mutual fund has to offer to you, right? And over here, in case of AIFs, the only advantage which the AIF has, which I think is also a good constraint which the SEBI has put, in case of AIF, what you can do is you can lever. सपोज 100 रुपये है, आप 3-4x लेवर करके पोजीशन क्रिएट कर सकते हो, तो 300 रुपये का पोजीशन, समथिंग लाइक दैट. इन दिस केस व्हाट SEBI has given us a constraint is, if you want to short, okay fine, go ahead and short, but you can't lever. So for example, अगर मैंने 100 रुपये इन्वेस्ट किए थे एंड लेट्स से मेरे को निफ्टी शॉर्ट करना है अभी, तो मेरे को 100 पे -25 नहीं कर सकती. पहले वो 100 को मेरे को 75 लाना पड़ेगा, फिर 25 एडिशनल का मैं शॉर्ट क्रिएट कर सकते हो. तो आप लेवर नहीं कर सकते बेसिकली, राइट? बट दिस इज़ अ वेरी गुड प्रोडक्ट. एज आई सेड, इट्स अ वेरी गुड रिस्क एडजस्टेड रिटर्न प्रोडक्ट. यूजुअली हम हेजिंग वर्ड सुनते हैं, कॉल पुट सुनते हैं, ऑप्शन राइटिंग सुनते हैं, वी थिंक दैट द रिस्क इंक्रीजेस. एक्चुअली इट्स अ रिस्क adjusting product, right? So it basically reduces the risk of your portfolio, and you are able to get all this at the same TER as a mutual fund and at the same taxation. So like in mutual fund, how we have equity, debt, hybrid, similar to that, SEBI has created the same 3 categories, and we are allowed to launch almost 7 strategies within those categories, 3 in equity, 2 in debt, 2 in hybrid. Out of that, we have already launched 4 categories, which is equity long short, which is nothing but a replica of a flexi cap fund. Right, then we have equity X top 100 long short, which we have already launched, which is nothing but a small cap, mid cap strategy. Right, then there is sector rotation long short, which we are yet to launch. Then within debt also there is a debt long short, sectoral debt long short, which we are again yet to launch. In case of hybrid, we have launched both of them, which is hybrid long short, which is nothing but a sort of a replica of Balanced Advantage Fund, and active asset allocator long short, which I manage, which is nothing but a replica of a multi-asset fund. So I'll just start off with the asset allocator fund, and I'll run you through all the 4 strategies which we have to offer. So if you know, in case of a multi-asset fund, as I said, it's sort of like a replica of a multi-asset fund, but this is more unconstrained compared to multi-asset. In multi-asset, we need to invest at all points of time in three categories, which is at least three categories, which is equity, debt, commodity, minimum 10% in debt, commodity. In case of equity, in multi-asset fund, we need to have minimum gross equity of 65%, right? So what we do is, if we think that the market is, stretched in terms of valuations, we don't want to have 65% gross equity. What we do is we deploy arbitrage and we try to reduce the gross equity. But in this case, we have more unconstrained structure, as in 35 to 80% in gross equity. So if I think market is too overvalued or market is too volatile, I don't want to have 60-65%. Let me go with 35%. What I can do is, ARB usually doesn't give that great a return. Rather, what I can do is I can go and put that money in a debt paper, which can give me better return when compared to ARB, right? So something like that. So it's more unconstrained. And as I said, in case of asset allocator SIF, we need only two structures, two investment at one point of time. Compared to MAF, which needs three, this needs two. So I can, if I think commodity is too overvalued at this point of time, I will keep zero in commodity. I am not constrained. I can put more in debt. So debt, commodity together 10 to 55%, but commodity maximum I can go to is 30%. And InvIT is around 0 to 20. So across all the SIFs, there is more leeway which is given in case of InvITs, which is 0 to 20. REIT is not stated separately because now REIT forms a part of equities only. So REIT is not separate. InvIT, I do get a lot of question that do you have that much depth in InvIT, etc., etc. The depth is not that wide. In case of InvIT, currently, it is becoming, there are more structures which are coming up. So with more structures coming, more liquidity happening, it will get deeper. But across SIFs, this is what we have, 0 to 20, we can go in InvIT. So how we are, planning to create this fund. So there is an equity model which we have created. You must be familiar with our valuation model which we have. So it's something like that, but it's an overlay on that what we have done. So what we are doing is we are looking at P by B. We have chosen price to book because it gives a more secular picture through time cycle. Usually P by E, which is price to earnings, can be very volatile. Price to book is usually considered more stable. So through the time we've taken price to book. When we think price to book is slightly expensive, we try to reduce our equity. When we think it's moderate, we try to be range bound. And when we think it is cheap compared to historical cycle, we try to increase. But we have overlaid that with corporate profit as a percentage of GDP. Right now, corporate profit as a percentage to GDP is around 5.5 to 6, which is somewhat peakish, right? We don't use it to reduce our equity. It basically gives us a signal that, look, when you are in a recovery cycle, that around COVID time, corporate profit to GDP had almost reached 3.5. That was a low. And it was basically giving us a signal that, look, you're just coming out of the cycle, this will go up. So don't cut your equity too soon, which P by B, which also has an overlay of GSEC, RSI, crude, etc. So it has all those macro factors also. That would have basically told us that, look, your market has risen too sharp, you cut your equity. But corporate profit to GDP was basically giving us a signal that you're just coming out of an earnings recovery cycle, it's just going up, so don't cut your equity too soon, right? So we've tried to overlay that in that model, and cohesively that gives us an equity number as to what percentage we should be around. Then debt model approach, it basically will take a duration call or a credit call, right? Currently we are more focused on the duration call, right? And it will be sort of a combination of what we do in our current existing debt funds. Pillar 3 is commodity. Again, over here, in case of multi-asset fund, the only difference which we'll do all the same commodities, gold, silver, crude, copper. Natural gas is something which we avoid because there is not much depth in the natural gas market. But otherwise, we do all the commodities. The only difference between this and multi-asset is, in multi-asset, we can also take ETFs. Over here, we'll be only dealing in derivatives, that is ETCD, right? But considering that the fund size is also smaller, it gives us decent liquidity to participate in that. So as a strategy and as a house we follow this, we always follow counter-cyclical approach, which is buying low, selling high, right? And equity allocation, as I said, will be higher when valuations are cheap, it will be lower when valuations are expensive. So these are the commodities which we will broadly participate in. This is our historical allocation. Currently, it is basically suggesting be around 50% in equities and 49.5% in debt. Commodities showing very low, and that if you see our multi-asset fund also, similar call we've taken. We think that commodities is a bit overvalued. We've suffered also because of that, because we took a profit booking call much early. But this is what we believe in. We think the commodities are in a sort of a frothy zone. So hence our commodity allocation currently will be low. The only difference between this model and what we deploy currently is over here there are no derivative OLA which is done. As I said, we'll be deploying a lot of hedging strategies. In back testing we can't do that. So the return which even this model generated compared to a multi-asset was a tad bit better. You add hedging to that, it will be able to generate a little bit better than current fund. So as I said that, SIF as a category is a better risk adjusted return category. The aim of SIF is to reduce the risk in your portfolio. So we have 30 plus years, 70 member team. A lot of people do ask us questions, what experience do you have in deploying these strategies? But we already do all those strategies, maybe not to the extent at which we will do it under SIF. But as I said, it is restricted to covered call, ARB, right? But we restricted to Nifty 50 stocks. Now we are just supposed to extend it to all FNO stocks. But around, the number is around 48,000. So 48,000 crores of the AUM, we already deploy hedging strategies. So in this case, the exit load is around 1%. The redemption frequency will be twice a week, which is Monday and Wednesday. In case of other funds, which I'll show, it is almost on a daily basis. So only two funds, I believe, hybrid long short, which is Monday and Wednesday, and this fund is Monday and Wednesday. All other SIFs, you can do redemption every day. The difference is in taxation. In this fund, if you hold it for less than a year, it attracts debt taxation. But if you hold it for more than a year, it will fall under equity taxation. Now the question which I do get asked is, even if you keep equity less than 65%, will it attract equity tax? Yes, it will attract equity tax only, even if I keep equity less than 65%, because it's a listed product. We've tried to get that. So that is how the taxation is.
Can you elaborate the second point, what you said?
So as I mentioned to you, in all other categories, around 65% we need to keep in equity to get the equity taxation, gross equity. In this case, gross equity is 35%. So I do get a lot of questions that even if you're below 65, let's say at the end of the month, when taxation is supposed to hit, if I'm below 65, will this attract equity taxation? The answer is yes, it will attract. A lot of people do get confused in that, but this we have tried to get a listed thing, so it will attract.
So because it is a listed, hence it is permitted to...
Yeah. It offers more flexibility.
So when you say listed, the scheme is listed?
Scheme is listed. So this is another category which we had launched in the same timeline as our asset allocator SIF, which is equity long short. This is nothing but a flexi cap, but an advanced version of flexi cap, again because it has unconstrained capabilities to do more hedging strategies. Like how FlexiCap fund is, it is basically you have to get the best of the capitalization, the best of the sector rotation, and of course bottom up. So the same thing will be deployed here also. This I have explained already, so I'm just skimming through these slides. So their job is to so one thing, sorry, I forgot to mention in asset allocator SIF. In our asset allocator SIF, it's the same team which is running the multi-asset fund is going to run our asset allocator fund also. In this case, it is Mitul, Shri and Nitya. So Mitul and Nitya run our balanced fund. So again, over there they have experience of doing several ARB strategies, and Shri is part of our balanced advantage fund. So again, she comes with the pedigree of running all these ARB strategies, but it is not the same team as our mutual fund team. Mutual fund, FlexiCap fund is run by Rajat, who is more of a growth oriented mindset. So if you see our FlexiCap, it will be mainly more auto dominated, more bottom up stocks, in the sense more small cap, more mid cap. So this fund will be run a bit different from how our FlexiCap strategy is run. But just to briefly explain you what the category is, over here they are basically supposed to get the sector call right. When, let's say, at this point of time when IT was doing well, they should have shifted out of IT and moved to something like infra or something like a telecom or something, which did well the next year. So their job is to basically get the sector call right, to adopt a better sector rotation strategies. And again, the style call right, they need to, but this will be a bottom up call. This is not driven by any model that which style to follow. It will be and since it's a combination of 3 people, they have different styles also, it will be a good mix. So it's a bottom up approach, what style to adopt, value, momentum, quality, low vol. So in this product, it's basically a sector agnostic product, market cap agnostic product, style agnostic product. It's just that it is same as FlexiCap. It will be having a good deployment of hybrid strategies. So in this, the product structure is equity, they need to be 80 to 100%. But if you hedge well, if you think market is too expensive, you can hedge it 100% also, and your net equity will be 0. You can do the same in other SIFs also. InvIT will be 0 to 20, debt will be 0 to 20. So again, the same, we are able to run it. So this is a good chart. It basically shows where our SIFs stack up, right? So in terms of, this is not the return profiling, this is the risk profiling. So in terms of risk profiling, conservative hybrid funds are the least riskiest funds. So by conservative hybrid, I mean arbitrage funds, equity savings fund, etc. After that, in risk profiling comes the asset allocator SIF, which I just explained to you, right? Because it has, as I said, it has more unconstrained approach in case of the quantum of equity which we can have, etc. So in terms of risk profiling, it is the least, followed by a hybrid long short strategy, which is the BAF equivalent. Then this strategy will come, which is the ISIF long short, right? And then it is the X top 100, which is the mid cap small cap strategy, and then it will be all the sectoral and all the mutual funds. So in this type of a product, we usually like which investors to invest, right? We think in terms of market outlook, we are of the view that we are in a moderate return environment. In moderate return environment or a volatile environment or a bearish environment, we think SIF as a category is a better fit, because basically if the market is also volatile, you can deploy some hedging strategies and try to generate some extra return out of it, right, which can outperform a mutual fund or a pure equity fund, especially in a volatile environment. So we think, especially in this product, which is the equity long short, someone should have a slightly long term horizon. By long term, I mean a 3-year horizon. But in case of asset allocator, we think even if someone is having a 1-year sort of a horizon also, we think it can do better. So if any of your client has a near term horizon, asset allocator SIF is better. Here one needs to have at least a 3-year horizon, because it's slightly more bottom up, slightly more deeper into equity. But we think in a moderate return environment, the SIF category can outperform the mutual fund counterpart because of the additional hedging return which they can create. Again, over here it is equity taxation, daily SIP allowed, daily redemption allowed, there is no constraint here. So X top 100, I'll not go too deep, it is the same thing, it is just that it's the mid cap small cap equivalent. In this fund, 65% minimum needs to be in mid cap small cap stocks. So as I said, in mutual fund, when we do hedging, we are only restricted to Nifty 50 stocks. But in SIF, it is expanded to all the NFO stocks, all the FNO stocks, which are around 209 to 210 FNO stocks, where we can deploy the hedging strategies. So here, especially in mid cap, small cap stocks, they can, create an opportunity to create much better return compared to a mid cap or a small cap fund and try to outperform. So the only difference here is they need to have 65% in equity, what we had in others in the previous fund around 80%. Here they need to have at least 65% in equity. They can go max 100 also, and balance in debt. And as I said, 65% needs to be in, I'll just show you that here. 65% needs to be in small cap, mid cap, and 25% unhedged short exposure, which across all the SIFs it's allowed, they can do that. And the last one is the hybrid category, which is nothing but the BAF equivalent. Over here, the only difference is they need to have a gross equity exposure of 65 to 75%. Minimum 25% needs to be in debt at all point of time. They can reduce their risk by increasing the hedging. They can come down to net equity 0. They can go below 0 also if they deploy the unhedged short exposure. In a nutshell, again over here, in case of taxation, it is same equity taxation, but in case of redemption, as I had mentioned, I think it's Monday, and I'll just show you that. The redemption dates are similar to asset allocator SIF, the Mondays and Wednesdays. So the redemption frequency is twice a week, which is not in case of equity long short and X100. In the hybrid funds, the redemption frequency is twice a week. But again, same structure, just try to create better returns out of volatility by deploying hedging strategy. So this is a balanced equivalent. Minimum application amount in SIF is 10 lakhs. If a mutual fund just has one strategy, so at that point of time, if any of your client wants to buy that strategy, they need to give 10 lakhs. But if a mutual fund has 4 strategies, they can split it between 2 strategies, 4 strategies, depending upon them. But all different mutual funds are coming up with different SIF schemes, so you will be having an option to do that.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.